Let's go ahead and rock and roll. I don't want to keep you late.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. The first topic I was going to talk about was like field trips, because I know like when Cam Rasp was talking about like her teen book con thing, I I thought like that was a good opportunity for like a creative writing field trip, but I didn't plan any this year, and I didn't know if you had done any in the past that had been successful, or like if you'd advertised or advocated that they go to anything.
I kind of stayed away from that just because this district is so scary. Um, like in terms of like parent control over the dissemination of information. Um, but like normally I in the past when I teach at the college level, I advertise readings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's always fun. But the thing is that readings are almost never geared toward a high school audience. They make jokes or they make reference to pop culture or social issues that would definitely produce parent emails, right?
Yeah.
Um, so um, so
And
yeah, I've never really broached that topic.
and then I don't know how well I'm fairly new to the district still, so I don't know. My school when I was in elementary had like a young authors program, and then we had like creative writing in middle school. But do you know if they have creative writing? Is that offered at the middle school level, or do they offer any sort of like authorship programs for the elementary schools?
That's a good question. I've never talked to anybody who taught creative writing at the middle school level. So if they do, I've never met anyone who did that.
Think it would be like I guess I'll reach out to Stacy because she's kind of like the head. And then you did not have any sort of formal curriculum last year, did you?
Yeah, no, it was completely my own creation.
Okay. What did you all like? What do you think your biggest unit was, or what did you all focus on for the most part?
The biggest unit throughout that year was the thesis project unit, where they put together like 20 to 25 pages of original writing and edit it and polish it and present over it.
Did you have like multiple genres going on? Or...
Yeah, yeah. They at that point we had done all the genre-based units.
hmm
So they could choose to work within a single genre or they could do like a hybrid work where they had like a mixture of essays, poems, and stories.
Okay. And are those the things that they submitted for like the competitions? Because I know I haven't done a great job at like prompting them to get into any of the writing competitions last year, but I know you had some winners last year. Did that lead into that, or how did you kind of like get them interested in that?
Um, yeah, I just advertised the competitions. The Scholastic was the big popular one because it is low stakes and it's basically free to enter. So so that and they have lots of winners compared to like a national contest where there's only going to be three people whose names are mentioned. Yeah.
hmm
Um, so yeah, the Scholastic is the big winner in terms of the competitions.
Okay. I was gonna have us do some conversation about just like general observations on class, but I guess if they're not here, maybe we can just I'll skip a couple of these topics and we'll just kind of um I was gonna point out some of like the challenges that I see in the class this year because I have um freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Was it set up that way last year for you?
No freshmen, only sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
Okay. Um, I had a freshman on my roster at the beginning of the year, so I thought it was interesting. But I see a lot of different like ability levels,
Oh yeah,
so
that
it
was the case.
can be really difficult to figure out how to like differentiate for the different types of writers and the different skill levels that I have. Um, because I've got seniors who really like rock and roll, and then I've got some sophomores who are kind of like trying it out for the first time, I guess.
Mhm.
But did you have your different grade levels do anything differently last year, or did you?
No, everyone did the same thing. I had like every student had the thing to do with something like that is you base the grade more on progress rather than absolute demonstration of skill level.
Yeah.
Um, that's one way to handle that. But yeah, no, I had students who were like clearly needed remediation in terms of their
Mhm.
grammar and stuff like that, and also students who were ready to publish a book.
Yeah, I have a couple kids who have done like I guess published through local press or something like that, but it's cool. I've got one kid who brought in, he's got like four little novels and short stories that he's
That's super cool.
yeah. One is called like yeah, it's called like Star Boy or something. It's like a sci-fi and he like travels between planets. It's pretty cool.
That's nice.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of late work? Like I noticed like some kids really struggle to pace themselves in this class. So I've got a lot of late submissions. And I was just curious if you had that too.
Yeah, because it's an L class,
Yeah.
so the students don't take it too seriously, which is unfortunate because the L grades negatively affect their GPA more than the K grades, right?
Hmm.
So like, because there's no GPA boost built in. But yeah, a lot of late work. Some students, and also a high amount of 504 and special ed kids compared to
Hmm.
the average class. Or at least that was the case for me when
No,
I.
yeah, that's the same thing in this class. I also notice, and I'm sure you got the same thing last year, but I have a lot of kids who, especially the kids who fall behind, want to use like AI to write their stuff. Um, and I know we don't have like a lot of policy on that. So I have kids where I kind of have to have them do check-ins with me and just kind of like
Yeah.
show progress over time because they will like I've got a senior who doesn't show up and then he likes to show up toward the end of the grading period and be like, here's all my stuff. But it's hard for me to know like, did you write because I don't see his writing ability until
Yeah.
he turns stuff in
And
like
you don't have like AI detection tools,
right.
Schoology, right? Yeah.
No. They've got writable and like turn it in and stuff, but I haven't used that in creative writing, so I think I might like need to, but I don't know how accurate it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I didn't have that problem as severely as I could definitely tell there were humans. I did have to have one talk with one student, um, because she could not explain to me her words. So
yeah. Did you do any themed writing last year around like any of the holidays or anything? Because like this year for Halloween, I had them spend about a week on a scary story, and then we read those for Halloween. Did you do anything like that?
I don't think I did too many themed units. I did genre-based units, and
Hmm.
basically I typically just want to teach the pieces that I like the most. Yeah, because I feel like if what's more important is that and no theme is going to win them over in my experience. It's about how well the instructor knows the piece and how passionate they are about the piece. That will animate um, more than them connecting with the fact that it's about a skateboarder and they skateboard.
Yeah, that
Uh,
is that's good advice. We have screenplays, like
mhm.
screenwriting as a unit this year in the curriculum, and so I did like Jurassic Park and I showed them like a scene
Oh,
from
that's
Jurassic
cool.
Park and then like showed them the screenplay and they seemed to be pretty into that.
Yeah.
Uh,
People in general like listening to people who sound like experts. So if I pick a text that I feel like I can talk expertly about, I feel like I would do a better job than if I pick a text just because of
mhm.
the theme.
That's good advice. I wanted to show you like the two books. So Stacy gave me some of these books at the start of the year, and I didn't know if you used them last year or if you'd ever used them because they're like district books, but she gave us, oh, it's gonna be backwards, Uncharted Territory. Does that look
Mhm.
familiar at all?
I think it does. I'm not sure if I use a couple of her books for prompts.
Right.
I, I forget which ones though.
Yeah, I haven't used these, so I was going to ask if any of the other creative writing, because we had a meeting at the start of the year where Stacy sat down with all of us and went through the curriculum, and then she gave us these two books, but I didn't use really either of them too much. The other one is Perrine's Literature, Structure, Sound, and Sense.
Mhm. That one I did not use at all.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I had it.
I was thinking about using, there's like the classic like E.B. White or Strunk's like rules of grammar or something. I don't know. It's a real famous one, but I don't know. Um, oh, tests. Is your I, I'm having trouble distinguishing between what I want to be like a major grade and a project grade in here because they feel like they overlap a fair amount.
For sure. I had that same problem.
Um, did you ever do any like formal tests with like multiple choice? Like I didn't do that, and I didn't do that for my final either.
I never did that. You could. There is a way to do it. Like if you teach them certain craft terms and they have to apply
Hmm.
the craft terms. But I never did that. I just felt like it. And this is just a very practical thing. I know that they had like their core classes to study for, and I didn't want them to
Yeah,
be saddled with studying for creative writing tests, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, it's funny, quite a few students in here I feel like want this class to almost function like a study hall sometimes, where I have a
Yeah,
lot of students
definitely.
who want to get into other classwork.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know how to have them take it just a little bit more seriously because I mean, there's a lot of freedom in here as far as, I like introduce the stuff and it's like, well, here's some work time.
Yeah.
It's been good to have like the light speed. Do you have the light speed system?
I've not used that. I want to use it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah. It's nice if nothing else because you can give them access just to specific websites.
Uh-huh.
So you can just like make it to where they can only go to like Google or Google Docs or whatever. So it's been good for that.
Yeah.
Um, you can turn off the internet completely too, which is interesting. Yeah, you just like shut down their internet access,
That's
which
wild.
yeah, and you can close them out of like you can close them out of tabs and every now and then I'll be just like a little bit
But how do
petty.
you how do you get to light speed? Where is it?
Yeah, here I'll show you. I'll share my screen for a second. Bear with me because I have a billion apps pulled up
You're fine.
or a billion tabs from what I was going to show earlier. Um, can you see up there at the top?
I can.
Okay, so it's cutting mine off just a little bit, but classroom.lightspeedsystems.app. And then when you go to this website, let me log out real quick.
You just log in with your Cywood stuff.
Yep. Yeah, so it has you like do your login,
Hmm.
but then you just log in with Google right here and you continue with Google and then you do. And then once you're in here, it has all your classes broken down. Like you can name them whatever, so but they're all separated into different classes to start.
I'm gonna use this like tomorrow.
No, it's super, yeah, it's super nice because you can also like I won't be able to show you like the live view right now, but like when I go into a class, it shows you like every single student. And like when they're in my class, they would be populating here and I'd be able to see their screens and then you can like click on like just her, for example. Um, It'll show you all the tabs that she has open, not just the one she's currently viewing. You can like hit the X and exit them out of tabs.
Yeah.
You can, yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. Sometimes I wait until they're like right about at the end of their game or they're like halfway through their like, yeah, I just get like kind of petty with it. But it's funny too,
What a
because
troll, Chase. What a
yeah,
troll.
it doesn't give them any notification that you like close their stuff just like closes. And so
Oh,
like they
wow.
know and you know, but neither of you really says anything.
So funny.
Yeah. So I've been using it a lot. And then if you know Jory Kane, she's like rocking and rolling. You can do like a list of blocked websites that just like are like almost permanently blocked in your, so if you ever have a kid who's like playing games on a website, you just add it to your block list and then they can't get into it. And
Nice.
so it's been really nice. We had it at my old school once upon a time, but then I haven't had it in years.
Hmm. This looks very handy.
Yes, it is. It's interesting. Kelly didn't want us using it at first because they wanted to like create guidelines for it. So I think the main thing is like you're supposed to use it during school hours only. Like I have a schedule to
Oh,
where,
you can actually access their stuff when they're not
yeah,
in
yeah.
class.
If you depending on because any like school Chromebook device, like you could I can see what they're doing in other classes, but
Mhm.
if you set up a schedule, it's like up here I have this like view custom schedule, and then you can have an ad hoc schedule, which is just like I need to view their stuff right now, or you could do like
Mhm.
custom schedules like days of the week and time frames. So I just set it up with how
That
much
makes sense.
time. Yeah. So that has been it's entertaining, if nothing else. It's also good food. Yeah. And I keep a list in my room on my board of like just funny things that I catch kids doing. Like I had a kid watching a YouTube video today that was like Pokemon versus dinosaurs. And so I just like,
Oh
yeah,
my,
so I just keep a list of like all the funny things that I find students doing, and I just kind of talk about it at the end of the week.
so funny.
So that one's been good. Some of this we'll skip because I was going to kind of talk about some of the units we have upcoming.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe you can give me a little feedback on some of these, but yeah, I mean, you're not actively teaching, so this is a little bit more
Right.
for the other two teachers. But we have a sci-fi and fantasy unit coming up, which I
Hmm.
thought was an interesting because we only have 8 total units for the year, but one of them is sci-fi fantasy, which I thought was a cool thing to devote a whole unit to. But I was kind of thinking about like what I want it to be and what type of like skills I want to focus on.
Hmm.
And close out of some of these real quick. I was thinking it might be good to do a focus on like setting
Yeah, definitely.
because I mean it's just like it's like a pretty staple thing of sci-fi and fantasy this that it's like not quite set in the real world.
It's like a defining feature of sci-fi.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think some of my students are already thinking about it and they're asking like kind of like what makes sci-fi and fantasy, like what is it?
Right.
Um so I was going to talk about like the difference between like hardcore sci-fi, which is like it really gets into the technology versus like kind of soft sci-fi, which is more so like the technology is almost like magic. Um, but I have this. Have you ever listened to Writing Excuses? It's a
Mhm.
podcast.
No.
Do you read sci-fi fantasy?
A little bit, but I mean, these days I mainly just read student papers.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Writing Excuses. So Brandon Sanderson is like a huge name in the fantasy. He did a Kickstarter last year. He had like the most successful Kickstarter campaign, but he's got a podcast called Writing Excuses, and so they're like 15 minutes each episode, and they cover different things. But I was thinking about showing this one. It's called The Element of Wonder, and it talks about how fantasy has a chance to just really focus on like having kids focus on like I guess the wow factor and like
Yeah.
having them just think about like what how can you introduce things that you just don't see in the real world? So I thought that might be a decent starting point. But did you use any podcasts in the past?
Did I use any podcasts? No, not really. I've not really used any podcasts in the creative writing class.
This one's nice because it has like transcripts, so you don't necessarily have to listen to it. You can just take like snippets from it and show them.
Very cool.
This is again, so bear with me, sorry, because this was a lot for the other two teachers I was going to talk about an idea for just getting started. But this is like a world building document. Did you do any sort of like world building or have them do?
Yeah, I did. I don't remember honestly the specifics of it. But we did not do like drawing a map. I know some people do like the map. Actually,
Hmm.
they draw the map and you know, but it was more like world building exercises. Um, so they were small exercises that were self-contained that they could then use if they wanted in their longer work that they would work on for like the second half of class.
Did you do my so Sarah, you met Sarah, my wife, once upon a time, but she used to do like free write Fridays, which was just like work on your passion project. Did you work much of that in, or was their thesis project supposed to be like their passion project?
Yeah, no, I invite very little freedom. Freedom is dangerous in the hands of the teenager.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is fair.
so no, no, the Friday class went just like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday class.
Mhm. I'm also noticing some of their content, like I feel like they don't necessarily know what's appropriate to write about in class and what's not. So it's
Sure.
really difficult because they're writing fiction, but it's also like, I mean, in some ways it definitely is tied to them. Um, so I just was like, did you have to bring up any, hey Bailey?
Hi, sorry to
Oh, you're
join late.
no, you're
I've got
totally
some
fine.
kiddos in for tutorials.
Totally fine. We do some quick introductions. I'm Chase, so I just teach creative writing at Cy Woods.
Hi there.
I'm Josh. I'm also at Woods, taught creative writing last year.
Oh, great. Awesome. Well, I'm Bailey. This is my first year teaching creative writing. I was actually hired in November at Bridgeland, and I've just sort of been making things as I go.
Okay, cool. Because my wife worked at Bridgeland last year and she did creative writing. Who started the year in that class?
Ashley White, I
Okay.
believe.
Oh, I think she knows her. Is she a freshman English teacher as well? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, cool. It's a good time to join actually. We were just talking about like our upcoming sci-fi and fantasy unit. Have you been using the like the shared drive that Stacy shared with us at the start of the year?
Yeah, yeah. Yep, that's kind of been my guiding light for a lot of this since I just sort of arrived in the middle of things.
Yeah, I was just showing Josh. This was something I was going to have the kids start with in the sci-fi and fantasy unit that's coming up, and I think I'm going to do that one right when we come back from spring break. But it's like a world building template,
Oh,
and I
cool.
liked it because it's not just like build a world. It asks them questions, some like the interconnectivity pieces. So it's kind of like equal parts creation, but also like being thoughtful and trying to connect various pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I
Like a
noticed,
workbook.
yes, and
Hmm.
it's extensive. It's like it's almost too long, so I'm gonna probably shorten it down. But then I could send that to you
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be super helpful.
because I wanted to look at our shared drive real quick and see some of these shared drives have been a little more like there's more to offer than others, and this one is a little bit bare bones. So it has like a little bit about world building in there, but I didn't necessarily love what they had, so I thought that that was a
Yeah, I mean, at least it has something. Editorial
yeah.
writing was completely empty. So,
Oh yeah, that was a unit where I almost had to like teach myself and then teach them.
hmm.
So yeah, that one was tough. And then the upcoming this unit, the final unit of the year where they're like focusing on publishing and stuff, this is kind of bare too. Um, but I noticed it has them like this document right here. It has them work with a website called Submittable, I think is what it's called.
Hmm.
Have either of you used that website in the past?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Um, I don't know a whole lot about it other than it lets them submit to various like publishers and they can submit to all of them simultaneously. And then it has like a tracker bar to see if like their submissions have been reviewed. But
That's kind of cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
but when they submit, they have to have a cover letter. So I think one of the things in here is it has them work on like trying to write a cover letter first. And that is about it in that folder. Like that is all they really have. They've got an example of student cover letters, and then they've got like sign up for a submissible or submittable account. So, but I was thinking about having them do a little bit with here, I have an idea. I thought it might be cool to have them do like a focus on building a platform and kind of talk about some different like website building things like WordPress or Squarespace and some of that.
Mhm.
And I thought it might be cool to um, talk to the photography teacher and see if we could take a day and do like headshots or like professional photos just
Mhm.
for like a that they'd use on a website. That's about all I have in the final unit, though. Well, I don't know if you had any ideas.
So they would take the headshots and then that would be affiliated with their writing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That would be cool too. Utilizing the resources there. Hmm. For the published piece, truthfully, I haven't had a lot of time to look at this one. I've been lightly brainstorming, but since we had to create editorial stuff from the ground up, pretty much
Yeah.
that's been my focus. Um, I don't know. Do you want me to talk to you about like what I did for editorial stuff? I know I came in after that conversation,
No, yeah,
but
you're that would be great. And then we'll wrap up here in just a couple minutes. And then Josh, if you need to leave, I know you got kids to pick up and everything, so you're good to go, my dude, if you need
All
to.
right. Thank you.
Yeah,
nice
thank you,
meeting
Josh.
you. See ya. So what I did for the editorial unit, I had them go to the Pulitzer Prize website and
Mm,
look up prize-winning editorials and making selections on which one they would like to research. And they basically created a PowerPoint presentation informing us about like what made that editorial Pulitzer Prize winning.
mhm,
And we learned a lot about the Pulitzer Prize in general and that kind of thing. And then we are now transitioning, now that they kind of know what an award-winning editorial looks like,
mm,
that can be their guiding sort of format for their own editorial. So today we started brainstorming what they were going to write about. And it's tricky though, right? Because a lot of editorials are about controversial topics. And so we're trying to err on the side of caution with that. So I like made a live document where I can monitor their topic choice. And if there's any like red flags, then I can comment on that in the moment. And then we'll do a peer revision on Thursday.
mhm.
And then that'll kind of be it. But it was cool to explore because honestly I didn't know much about the Pulitzer Prize and I didn't know that it was like how all encompassing it was.
Yeah,
So I know that the kids got something out of it there too, but they're also really looking forward to the sci-fi unit. So
yeah, yeah.
because
Uh,
it is a little more like argumentative writing and stuff that
mhm.
they've done in their English classes and things like that. So I wanted to make it a little different, but still familiar in that way.
I did my cousin is a journalist in Cincinnati and she does like some breaking news and stuff. So I kind of put them in touch with her one day and we did just like a little like Q&A, which I thought went really well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
That's great. Yeah, use your connections.
yeah, I'd like to
Very
have
cool.
like an idea in the future of like, I don't know. I think the Pulitzer Prize thing is awesome. I'm definitely going to steal that.
Oh yeah, well, thanks. Thanks. I appreciate it. It was a late night sort of brainstorming session where, oh, this is a good idea. And then it was 12:30 and oh, okay. So one of those, but yeah, it worked. I feel like it worked out pretty well. And we watched a documentary. It's called The Pulitzer at 100. So when the Pulitzer Prize turned 100 years old, they made a documentary, and it's got like some pretty famous actors that are reading various poems that have won the Pulitzer Prize, and so it was cool. I was able to watch it for free on I forget what website it was, but either way, it was really cool
Yeah.
and pretty well done. So it was a good way to put a bow on that. But I'm curious, is there a final exam posted somewhere for have you noticed anything or heard anything on finals?
Did they have you do finals in the first semester?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
At Cy Woods, what they had me do was I just had to okay it with our director of instruction, but she let me do like something pretty open-ended and writing based. Like I did not have to do like a multiple choice standard final. So
Hmm.
I think we were doing our novel unit at that point. So I had them submit like the first 15 pages of their novel and then they outlined the rest. And then I asked them to write up some explanations of things we'd studied throughout the semester. But I'm fairly certain that it's just like you get to make it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. It figures, but that's okay. We love creative freedom, right?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay.
So I know it's getting late and you probably,
No, you're fine.
there's
You're fine. I'm here until 4. So however you want to handle this,
okay,
navigate this.
cool. There's one last thing I wanted to show you because it might help in that final unit. There's a book because like with the focus of publishing, this is a book that I read once upon a time that I think is really good. You don't necessarily have to have kids buy it, but is my screen shared, by the way? I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, The Business of Being a Writer. It's just like from a Jane Friedman. She's like a former agent, editor, and so on. And she just has a lot of advice on like how do you draft a cover letter and how do you find an agent and so on and so on. So I kind of like took notes upon it once upon a time. So I can
Hmm.
send those to you because it's just good different topics to cover in that unit because I want to spend time having them work on like a passion project and actually try to submit, but then I also kind of want to talk about just the industry in general because my kids are really curious about that. Like they ask
Hmm.
me a lot of questions about how do you actually get published and what do you get paid and so on and so on.
I'm curious when did this come out? Like, does she cover AI at all?
Um, so I want to say that she updates this every couple years. This
Okay.
edition that I read was probably about 5 years old.
Okay, so probably
Yeah,
not.
no, it wasn't
Yeah.
quite. But yeah, because I think publishers will ask you now when you go to submit, they actually have a question that was like, is any of this AI generated? And you have to like kind of like sign off on that.
Hmm. Okay. I see. Yeah, that my kids are curious about AI and how what the future of writing will look like with all of that. Um, but this is really interesting. I'll have to check out this book, and I'd love to read your notes and um, see. Why does Jane Friedman sounds familiar? But yeah, this is like the foundation of writing, and it looks like she integrates like life skills and real world connections that would have been helpful when we were in high
Yeah.
school to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to check that out.
Because they gave us these two books at the start of the year. Like they gave us that book and they gave us that book, but I didn't really like use them a whole lot throughout the year, so I didn't know if
Yeah, I don't even know if I have
Mhm.
those.
They're mostly for prompts, I think, and
Yeah,
there's like some structure and style stuff, but it's kind of things I already go over, and I don't know that they want to read it out of a book.
right, right. That makes sense. Um, I really liked I'm bouncing back to the science fiction and fantasy, the world building workbook. That one's you said it's in the shared drive.
I'll put it in the shared drive, or I'll just
Oh,
email it to you
awesome.
directly either way. And then I think you
Okay.
came in right after. There's a really good podcast called Writing Excuses, where the guy who hosts it, Brandon Sanderson, is like a huge fantasy writer. So it's kind of cool because he's like an expert in the field. Um,
Yeah. Do you have
but
a
there's
particular episode that you prefer?
Yeah, so to go along with the world building one, this one would probably be good. It's geography and biomes, so it's just kind of talking about how to like create conflict through the actual like setting of the world. And these are nice because one, the episodes are short; they're all like 15 to 20 minutes, but then they also have like transcripts of the episodes. So if you want to grab like just any excerpts. So I'll come through that. I'll send you a list because I have Believable Worlds Part 1 and 2. So there's a couple specifically on world building that I think will go with that document as well. And I think that's where I'm going to start in that unit.
Okay.
So I'll email those to you as well.
Yeah.
Let's see, I think I have 3 total. And then Brandon Sanderson also has like he wrote a couple essays on like magic systems and designing magic systems. So these like laws I thought I might talk about, and they're just kind of interesting essays. So I'll email those to you as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that sounds really useful.
Okay, cool. And then I'll just send you a quick follow-up email, probably just right after I hop off of here. But I think I mean, I covered what I needed to cover, and thank you. Seriously, thank you for like giving
Of
up some
course, no
time. I
problem.
appreciate it.
Sorry, I wish I had more to bring for sci-fi and things like
No,
that.
you're good.
I'd love to stay in touch though, and just in case something comes up, I'm more than happy to
Yeah.
pop it over to you guys and share ideas that way. So I appreciate you putting this together.
Sure.
And the resources, of course.
Mhm.
So best of luck with your master's degree.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got this.
The end is in sight, finally.
Yes. Yeah. Good. That's great to hear. But okay, well, enjoy your evening and
Thank
we
you.
will be in touch.
All righty. Thank you.
All right. See
All
ya.
right. Bye. Have a good one.
You too.